Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about some follower technique for a particular moment that followers a lot of times will face when you have to step out of a parada or a sandwich where you're having to step over your leader's foot. And a lot of times there's questions about how to do it in a way that's comfortable and what is the actual timing that the followers need to do. I'm joined today by Eve, who's going to help me demonstrate this. So let's say one of the cases that this can happen, something like this. So let's say I catch my follower's foot, and this is the moment that I'm talking about where Eve is about to step over my foot, and she should be able to comfortably step forward and then continue. So this is what it would look like. So a lot of times what happens is once there is this moment of the parada for the follower, once the leader introduces the lead to go forward, a lot of times what happens is the follower will begin to actually fall forward and fall into that step. So I'm going to show it from this angle here. So let's say we're here and Eve is about to step over my foot. And it's like I'm introducing the lead, and what Eve is going to allow for is the upper part of her body to lean forward, and then she'll fall into the heel of the next step. A lot of times why that happens is because the follower will be sort of standing on the tippy toes of their foot and they're a little bit shaky. And so the moment they feel that there's a direction, then it's like they kind of let go and fall into that next step. So the way to think about this step and to prevent yourself from falling forward, when I introduce the direction for Eve to go, the first thing that she needs to do is resist it. So I am right now gently turning to my right. And what Eve is doing is she's opposing that. So we're not actually moving at first. But what that tells her is the direction that we're going to go. And at this moment here, the way she's holding my embrace is actually giving her more support so she won't be off axis. Once you feel the direction here, I'm introducing it, then as I turn, Eve is going to bend her standing leg and then step forward with the heel. So I'm going to show it real quick by myself. Here, once the leader gives me the direction, I sort of use the tension of the embrace to help me step with control, and I lead with my heel. So that's another question that I get a lot. Should you step forward with your heel or with your toe? To me, the more it resembles the normal way of walking, the way you would walk normally, you would walk with the heel first, you want to approximate that as much as possible. So once you're ready to step over, you are going to feel that you're pushing out of the ground to step and lead with your heel and step in a very controlled way. So once again, I want you to notice that two different energies that you have depending on the technique that you're using. So if I introduce this parada and Eve does not do the technique properly and just allows herself to go, there will be a fall. But here, when I introduce the force, the first thing that happens, you see how there's a little bit of charge between us, and her leg went up, that she's ready. And in fact, here, if I undo that tension, she might actually come back down. So that's part of the communication. So here, I introduce the force and then softening the leg, stepping forward with the heel. So that will be the technique for doing it so that you're not falling forward. Now, the timing, a lot of times, is also a question as to how fast should you exit. And that's going to really depend on the music. But typically, if you're listening for the slow beat and you're kind of keeping track of the cadence, the natural cadence of the song, then the exit out of the parada should fall in line with that slow beat. So let's say we're walking to something and this is the tempo, slow, 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 slow. So here, as we're following this, let's say I come here, slow, 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 slow. So typically I say for followers, if you're not sure what timing to follow, follow the slow beat. Make that the default setting in your cadence of what you're expecting, and then allow the leader to lead something different. But it's most of the time you're going to be obeying the slow beat when exiting these paradas, unless the leader does something different. Okay? So let me know if you have questions or other things you want to know about this particular figure. And if this is your first time joining, make sure you sign up, because I post one of these every week on Saturdays. I look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, ciao.